Star Wars geek girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Hi, this is Zoe. I'm from Star Wars Geek Girl. As usual, I'm here with Jonah. Actually, wait, I was like, wait, I'm not usually here with Jonah. Usually I'm here with Lizzy. Lizzy's not here. Lizzy's busy. I'm here with Jonah. I just kind of went on autopilot and I was like, wait, wait a second.
No worries. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here because I wanted to help Zoe out with her podcast. And so here I am, and I'm hoping Lizzie's having a good work shift.
Yes.
Earning those big monies.
Yeah. I think she works in a library. I think she said at school.
Oh, that was my college job. Yeah. Very nice.
I think that's what she told me. Yeah, so Lizzy's busy, so we're going to talk about The Bad Batch, episode 5, Rampage.
So yeah, that was a wild, fun episode.
Spoiler-free thoughts. What do you have?
Yeah, spoiler-free. I thought it was just so fun seeing how this show just continues to have that long story arc that spans the whole season, but then still have their individual adventures to connect to some of those bigger plot points. And I really love what they're doing with it, and I just hope they continue to do what they're doing. And yeah, that was just so much fun, like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of a thing.
Yeah, I guess spoiler free. I really like the episode. I think it's always fun. I think it's really the best part of the show for me so far is seeing like the dynamic between the characters and how that like changes and grows. And this was a very good episode for that, I think. Yeah. So I mean, actually, all the episodes are good for that, but you know.
Yeah, in some episodes, it's more like Hunter and Omega focused, whereas in this episode, you got to see a little bit with everyone, which is really good.
Yes. Yeah, because I can't say much more without spoiling, so we'll go into the spoilers. I always pull up the Wikipedia page for the episode. Make sure we got everything.
A reliable resource right there. I love using that place for everything.
They're so fast. Like the one day me and Lizzy recorded a podcast like on the day it came out, and there was already like a full written like page.
I know. I feel like they stay up late at night for that content and just quickly edit all the pages necessary.
I guess it depends on what time zone you're into, because I guess some time zones it comes out at a more reasonable time than for us here.
Yeah, I envy the West Coast because they get it at 12 and we get it at 3 o'clock. And it's
I think it's Australia gets it at like a really reasonable time, like in the evening.
Oh,
it's like, I'm so jealous.
Oh yeah, that is. Yeah, I'm definitely more jealous now.
I think it's Australia. It was somewhere like there was someone that I like followed. I don't know. There's so many things. Yeah, so I guess we'll start with the beginning of the episode, which Omega, I forgot about this until I just saw it. Omega gets a comlink.
Yes, that's right. She does get her comlink, which I thought was very you can compare it to a kid getting their cell phone for the first time.
Yeah, and they it's like it's made from crosshairs, and she kind of tries to like, you know, mess around with it, and they're all like, it's not a toy, Omega. Like, it reminded me when I was in like I think 5th grade, I had to like walk to and from the bus stop, and it wasn't far, but to like a 5th grader it's like a journey. And so my mom had just upgraded her phone, so she had a little pink flip phone that she gave me, and all it could do was make calls. And it was like a huge deal.
Yeah, I totally remember when I got mine. I was 16. I still have it actually, and it was one of those bar phones, Nokia. And all you could do was just dial. You could do some texting, but it was that awkward number texting where you had to press the number twice to get the letter that you wanted, or 3 times. And then there was the only game that was there was Snake. I think that's what it was called. And that game was so much fun. And I wish I could still play it.
but it reminded me of that. That's
Yeah,
you
yeah.
give it to her, and it's like a huge responsibility.
It'd be really cool if her communicator had a little screen that she can actually play games with.
It'd be like an episode where they're like trying to reach her, and she's just sitting on the ship, just like playing like little solitaire or something.
Exactly.
Like that. But they go because Echo knows someone named Sid, who's an informant to the Jedi, and they want help figuring out who Fennec Shand is, because they don't know who she is. She was just a crazy lady that attacked them last time.
Yeah. Who do you think Sid was attached to, like informant wise, when the Jedi were around? Which Jedi do you think it was?
Well, I know who Sal Perales thinks it is.
Yes, I definitely know that too. Yeah, he was very vocal about that.
I'm not sure, because my gut for some reason was just Obi-Wan, because I feel like Obi-Wan always just kind of knows. He always seems to know people, like in the Clone Wars, he just kind of knew everyone. But I don't know, there's a lot of people it could be, I think, but I mean, we teased out, but I think Quinlan Voss is like a really reasonable contender, because he kind of worked in like the underworld of the galaxy, and so like he's not grasping at straws this time.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does work out if it is Quinlan Voss. And I like to think that it's Obi-Wan, because of just knowing those type of characters like Dex in the Attack of the Clones, Hondo, for example.
Right.
So.
And well, I think it might be Obi-Wan too, because Echo knows about Sid, right? And so I feel like it has to be a Jedi. I don't know if it would be Anakin. It could be, maybe, I don't, but I think it would have to be someone that worked with or around like Anakin in the 501st.
Yeah, makes sense.
It doesn't have to be, I guess, but that would make more sense to me. And in a 2, Sid could just be like, she could just be like a generic like person who just kind of called the council or whoever every once in a while. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't even have to be a specific Jedi.
That's true too. So, yeah.
Lots of options, I guess. I don't know if we'll find out. That didn't seem like a thread they were trying to pull at, but
no. That's just us trying to like expand the world a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of something else that really caught my eye about Sid. And I don't mean to jump around, but I am.
It's okay.
But
we always do.
There was something that I had written on Twitter and that I had mentioned in another podcast on Children of the Watch specifically, where I talked about Sid and whether she is someone they can trust, because she does have these very interesting helmets on her wall that could be decorative, but they give me the vibe of someone who has hunted down people like a Trandoshan. And I don't mean to paint all Trandoshans with the same brush, but so far, I mean, they're pretty sketchy.
Are you being speciesist, Jonah?
I know. I'm sorry. Of course, I'm not that kind of person. But I do think that with the painting that's behind her desk, there is a peak or like a mountain-like structure on it that's very reminiscent of the Trandoshan moon where Ahsoka was taken to in season 4, I believe it was. And so it's like, maybe there are little clues here to let us know that maybe she's not super reliable or a very trustworthy source, especially now that things are very different. And so I like to think that, she might be a threat to them later on in some way.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she's definitely pretty explicitly a character that just kind of works for the most money. I don't know if she has like strict loyalties necessarily. I mean, we don't know her that well, but I don't doubt that if she was offered a lot to turn in the Bad Batch somehow, that I don't think she'd have too many reservations about doing
she
that.
would not hesitate, I don't think.
And the Bad Batch isn't exactly in a position to pay her back.
Mm.
So yeah, I didn't even notice that painting. That's
Oh yeah, you have
interesting.
to really like go in. The only reason I spotted it was because the Boba Fett fan club had posted a tweet with a screen cap pointing to Westar 34 blaster pistols. I forget what they're called exactly,
Mhm.
but they're hanging way up high and they're very similar to what Django had in Attack of the Clones. So I thought, oh, that's so cool. And so I started sneaking around trying to see what else we could find. And that painting really stood out to me as something I had seen before. I was like, that's so familiar to me. And I thought, wait, let me go back to that Trandoshan arc, that Wookiee lost, or the Wookiee Padawan lost arc. And so, yeah, it turns out that they look very similar and it could be a hidden clue.
Yeah, well, and she does have like a on her desk have like a horn, almost like a
That's right.
trophy.
Yeah.
So she has like trophy hunter like things. Like she has a big fur behind her too.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
sorts of stuff.
I was hoping we'd get more information about that in the episode guide, but a lot of people thought it was like the mud horn from The Mandalorian because it has like that type of horn.
Oh,
So it could possibly be.
maybe. I feel like that's kind of small
Oh, it might
for
be. It might
that.
be a younger, like
A
a
baby.
young.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not
So
nice.
sad. Oh no, so
Oh,
sad.
I mean, there's lots of things out there with horns, you know.
Yeah, that's true too.
Could be anything. But yeah, so yeah, she's very shady.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I liked her. She was fun, but very shady. So they meet up with her, and they meet her, and she's like, "No, I don't know who Sid is," and they're like, "Okay," but Omega's like, "You're Sid."
Oh, that was so smart of Omega. I mean, she's just going to go in there with no thoughts in her head, no kind of. My mom used the word preconception. I think that's the best word to use, where she doesn't judge based on someone's appearance or who they are. Yeah, that was really cool that she just said, "You're Sid." Like, I know what's up.
And she didn't even like, I think, and she was kind of waiting for that too. Like she didn't even kind of like try to deny it. She was just like, "Yeah, your friends
Yeah.
didn't figure it out." Like, yeah.
And I love how that leads Sid to say later on that Omega is the brains of the outfit.
And then she and Wrecker have like a little high five.
That was so adorable.
So cute. Yeah. It's funny. Omega's really like, she's really part of the team, I guess now. But anyway, so Sid has said she'll find information for them about Fennec Shand, but in exchange she wants them to go get a baby to rescue a child named Muchi.
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 Did you think that the child that they found was the actual child they were supposed to rescue?
I did. I'm so dumb when it comes to twists like
No,
that. I didn't even
fine.
question it. I was like, okay, there's a child.
That's what they want you. That's what the viewers, they want the viewers to go along with.
I trust them, and then they just pull the rug right out from under me, But I know as soon as I saw the Rancor in the cage, I was like, that's gonna be Muchi. I honestly though, before they found the child, I was like, I bet it's a little baby Yoda. Not the baby Yoda, but like a baby Yoda.
Yeah.
I really wanted it to be a baby Yoda.
That would have been another handful because Omega is definitely a handful, but at least she's more manageable.
Yes, a baby Yoda. Yeah, but anyway, so they're all sneaky, and there's like Zygerians, by the way, which is like the other thing. And they're so cool. Great. Like they're evil, but like I just think they look cool.
Yeah, I really love their design.
They're like cats, like and they have like the whip. I like light whips a lot. I think they're underused, but I enjoy them very much.
I totally agree. Yeah, I really love their aesthetic. And I just love that they're cats because cats can also be just very want to rule the world sort of a way. And they're of course very kind too, because I love cats. But yeah, I love that they're cats. Space cats.
Yeah, Zygerians are fun. I prefer the purple ones personally. They weren't as purple in this episode as they are in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. I do like the variety though.
I just like purple.
Oh, I see.
But so they're being very sneaky, and they make Omega stay in the ship as usual.
Right.
But then sneaking doesn't work for them very
No, it
well.
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
And they all get captured except for Omega, who is the only one to escape.
Yeah, I really love how Omega isn't at that stage where, I guess she's not at that stage where she would follow and disobey orders, sort of like Ezra would have. I feel like Ezra would have followed regardless. But that's because he has sort of that street smart, rebellious side to him. Whereas Omega is more of, she's come from a background where there are rules and regulations and there's a, routine to follow. So when Hunter says she has to stay, she stays. And I really like that side of Omega. And I'm hoping to see a little bit more of her breaking out of that so that she does become sort of like Ezra.
Yeah, well, and I think part of it too was she even though she like still listens to Hunter, she also doesn't like listen to the point where it fails her, because I feel like not necessarily in Star Wars, but sometimes in things you have a kid character who like follows the rules so much that it just causes more trouble when things go wrong. Where Omega, as soon as she starts to like, as soon as they start to come into the ship and check it out, she realizes like, all right, I'm gonna get out of here, whatever. Like, even if Hunter didn't say, like she still kind of thinks for herself enough, which is good.
Mm-hmm. And I do love how the Bad Batch, when they're captured, it just goes to show that even with their 100% success rate, they're just not ready for what the universe has in store for them. And they're not going to be successful all the time. They're going to trip and fall and fumble, and that's something that they're going to have to suck up and accept. That they're not perfect in this world.
Well, I think part of it is that they're like, especially Tech, probably they're so used to having access to like the Republic like database and getting to know everything before they go in, where here they get attacked out of nowhere really by like that giant like snake thing, which is what gets them captured. That's what gets them captured. And like, I feel like if it had been like during the Clone Wars, maybe Tech would have been able to like download a file on this planet and learn all about stuff so they knew what to look out for. Which they didn't have that, and I think they're like kind of coping still with that loss of resources and well, I mean, we see it in the Bad Batch arc of the Clone Wars, like Tech just like knows about all the different creatures that are on these planets because he can research it, but he doesn't really have access to that anymore, So Omega tries to contact them on her comm, but she can't because their gear was taken away. So she goes to look for them, and while they're like, and then I think it's Echo that sees her, or Tech sees her first, I think.
Tech sees her first, which I find funny because I feel like there's a pattern in the show so far with Tech and Omega, where Omega, she does her own thing, and when they spot her, it's Tech that is the one who spots her, because in Cut and Run, she runs out with the chain codes, and Tech points her out to Echo and says, "Found her." And in the premiere, you have her sitting in the cell just as they're entering, and he also points out the fact that Omega is right there with them. So now you have another moment where she's on top of the building and he's the first one to spot her. So I love that there's this pattern, and I hope we continue to see that with them.
And maybe someday Echo or Omega will spot Tech, and it'll reverse.
Maybe that's what it's leading to.
Maybe. So while they're captured and they're trying to like, maybe the Bad Batch is trying to like wriggle out of it, but they just keep getting zapped because they're Nigerians. And while then they see her, and then while she's going, and Echo's like, is it Echo? He's like, He's like, man, it'd be great if we had our gear over there.
Yeah, things would be a
over.
lot different if we had our gear. And I love how that was a hint to Omega that that's where she should go to get. And I also love that sort of that interaction between Echo and Omega, because he also realizes how she's very capable and she could get them out of this situation. So yeah.
Yeah, they're yeah, so but Omega doesn't quite get to their gear because she knocks down a rock.
Yeah. yeah, that's
unfortunately,
right.
the age-old trap. But then Wrecker kicks a rock himself to distract them again.
How do you think that the collar and the electricity coursing through his body is going to affect the chip?
Don't make me think about that. No, I don't want to think about that yet.
We gotta talk about it, Zoe.
Then,
we gotta talk about
his headaches are back because they weren't there last episode. No, it's like maybe they're going away.
No, it's because it wasn't important to address. But now that we're getting closer to the point where we meet Rex, it's going to be addressed. And I really like the fact that they inserted it here, even though of course it's painful and I don't want anything to happen to him. But I really do want something to come out of that, because in the past, when it comes to Order 66, we don't really know what it is that they experience, at least fully or canonically, I guess, and what they experience afterward. And I want to see that happen with Wrecker. So if Wrecker does get possessed, I guess you could say, by the chip, then hopefully Rex will take it out with a tech scanner. So it'll get to the point where Wrecker could tell us what it was that he experienced, and I want that information, because Rex didn't get a chance to tell us that after Ahsoka took out his, because they just had to, escape and get out of there and survive. So we didn't have a moment of reflection. And I want that to happen, even though I don't want Wrecker to suffer.
Yeah, it makes me so nervous every time. And he hit his head a lot this episode too. He keeps hitting his head.
Yeah, he keeps hitting his head.
He did hit his head. Fennec hit his head last episode pretty hard, but
yeah,
they didn't say anything about the headaches, but it's
gonna happen. It's gonna happen
so
soon.
Scary.
and hopefully once they see it come out of Wrecker, and then they realize that he's back to normal in a way, then maybe that gives them hope that they can do the same for Crosshair.
Or what if like they all like one by one keep getting their chips activated until it's just like Omega left with like Hunter, or like
no, that would be an awful worst case scenario setting, and I don't think that would happen.
No,
and I don't
think
want
so.
that to happen.
But that'd be horrible. Yeah, it's scary. I don't know what to say. Like, just slow. It's just killing me.
Yeah, and I feel like that electricity coursing through him might actually be contributing to more of the head pains. So if it's not this episode coming, it's definitely going to be the next episode that they're going to touch on it, because we're reaching that midway point of the series. So we got to get to like the pinnacle of the story before things just start coming at us very quickly.
Or maybe they'll just give him like an aspirin and he'll be fine. Maybe that's all. Maybe that's all he needs. You don't know.
Maybe that's all he needs. An Advil, ibuprofen.
Okay, yeah. So Wrecker gets shocked, and meanwhile Omega sees a caged animal, and it's a baby Rancor, and baby Rancor looks kind of weird, but I don't know what else I would, because when I first saw it I was like, is that what a baby Rancor looks like? And then I was like, I guess I didn't have an idea of what a baby Rancor would look like, so I guess this works.
Yeah, it's super adorable in its own way, I think.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
So cute.
And I love that. I love that it's a she too. I love that they made an effort to say that it's a girl. And so, it's different from the one that we've encountered in Return of the Jedi. So, whew.
Oh, is it different?
Yeah, apparently, because the one in Return of the Jedi is a male. So
According to what though?
according to Wikipedia, I believe. I think it's been established. Like I saw the conversation between people, and they were like, it's not the same, people. Don't worry, it's not the same.
I need to do my own research.
Yeah, confirm because
I want to look at what Wikipedia's source for it.
Oh, what they're sourcing. Yeah. That's a good point. What they're referencing there. Citing. Always cite your citations.
Exactly. All right. Well, yeah. So yeah, it's a baby Rancor. It's really cute. So Omega gets caught when she gets to the cage, and you're like, oh no, but she's like, but then she unlocked it.
Yeah, that's very clever of her.
So
are you trying to look it up?
I am. I have to know. I'm trying to find, because I don't think it has a name, the one in Return of the Jedi.
I think they had called it like Patiza, or Jabba called it Patiza.
Yeah, but that could just be like Huttese for
it is Huttese for something, but I don't remember what at the moment. Patiza, then identified simply as Jabba's Rancor.
Okay.
There it is. A male Rancor, and it says that it is quoting, oh shoot, I lost it. Star Wars, absolutely everything you need to know, which I think was written by Pablo Hidalgo, I'm sorry, Adam Bray and Cole Horton, Carrie Doherty, and Michael Cogg. So that's definitely a canonical source, because I remember people quoting that for several things in the past. So there we go. So it's a completely different Rancor. Woohoo!
Yay!
And it was funny to see Echo's reaction to the Rancor being the kid that they had to rescue, because it's that flipping the script sort of thing, and I really loved that moment.
Yeah, that's something they definitely should have been told, because like ferrying a human child back to town just feels a lot different than a Rancor, even if it's a baby. So
part of me makes me think whether Sid was also just testing them just to see what they're capable of doing, because I feel like if she had said, oh yeah, it's a Rancor, they would have been like, no, we're out, we're gonna find some place else to find the information we need. So yeah.
Well, yeah. But it does kind of remind me of like in The Mandalorian, when the client is like, oh, you need to find a 50-year-old, and then it is a 50-year-old, but
right,
that's
funny. Great. Yeah, I didn't realize that comparison there, but yeah, it's very similar in that you go in with this notion of what this character might be, and it's completely different.
Yes. So Muchi, the Rancor, is fighting all the guards for him. And so that's when they try to run off with like that other kid that's there, and they're like, come on, Muchi, and the kid's like, what? I'm not Muchi. So they do help the kid and the parent, though, that's with them.
Yes, that's right. Those nice. I believe it was a girl, and I believe it's the father, but the other character too, I feel like they're like their own little family unit, and in my head I've already given them professions and they're archaeologists, space archaeologists, and I like to think that they were in old Ord Mantell City to excavate and find cool things.
And they got trapped.
Exactly. And I'm glad the Bad Batch were there to save the day. Or Omega to be more accurate.
You need to write their book.
Yes.
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, so their help, it's like they like split up. So it's like, is it Echo and
Omega?
Omega help them, and Tech What does Tech do? Tech does something.
Tech goes along with Wrecker and Hunter to try to get the
Try to get
Rancor.
Muchi.
Yeah. And it dwindles down to just Tech and Wrecker because Hunter deals with, I believe the character's name is Rainy,
Mhm.
the
Nigerian.
Nigerian, yeah.
The boss.
Leader. Yeah.
And it's a really cool scene with the whip versus the knife, and it's just super cool to watch. And Hunter fights Hunter has the most like, he's a character that's really fun to watch him fight. He has a very cool like Rambo kind of style of fighting. It's great.
And someone on Twitter, I'm blanking out on their name, but thank you to them for highlighting this. But Hunter is known for his ability to pick up on electromagnetic waves, and for him to have that whip around his arm, I wonder how intense of a experience that was, because it's just like an overload of electricity coursing through him. And I just thought, wow, I didn't even think of it from that angle.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so
he took it like a champ.
Yeah, he still looked like a champ, exactly.
But that's a really cool, it's not very long, but it's a really cool fight scene between the two of them, because light whips are always cool and people should use them more because they're awesome. Because it's what's her name? Oh, one of the girl from do you read the High Republic books? Have you read any?
I actually haven't read any at the moment, but I do plan on it because they sound really cool.
Okay. The one Jedi girl has like a light whip, and it's awesome.
That's cool.
And she's in the one book, and she's gonna be in another one that's coming up, and she's great.
Nice.
I love her. Vernestra is her name. She's awesome. What was I gonna say? Oh, so while Hunter's doing that, Wrecker fights Muchi. Yeah, and they're like
to gain dominance and the alpha status.
Yeah, that's what Tech tells him to do, and Wrecker's very excited to do it, and they are like the same size, kind of like height wise, pretty much. And obviously the Rancor is like a little bigger, but like it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it was funny to see, and I'm sure that also contributed to more head pains.
What? Just needs some aspirin. He's fine.
But yeah, I really love how exhausted he was by the end of it.
They both are. They're both just kind of like shoving each other back and forth. Yeah. It's so funny.
And how he was like, "Go to sleep, Muchi."
Yeah, it was great. Wrecker and Muchi are like the best.
Yeah.
So they get that squared away, right?
Yeah, and they managed to bring it back to the ship, I guess.
Yeah, somehow.
How they managed to even fit it through the doors is another question. To fit her through the doors,
it must have been maybe they like tied her to the top.
Oh no,
they're on the same planet, right?
Like
they can fly.
Like when you put a mattress on a car.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a Christmas tree.
It is, maybe Wrecker just sat up there with her. They both just like chilled on top of the ship. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure it was a pretty uncomfortable ride, but yeah. But they get back to Sid, and Omega's riding her at the end, which is cute too.
That was cute.
And it's Bib Fortuna and some Gamorrean cards that they give her too. And I was like, oh, Bib Fortuna looks really creepy.
Yeah, I know. Such a creepy Salimo character. What did you think of having that kind of an appearance in the show from an old trilogy character?
I was mostly focused. I was like, oh, he looks even worse here. Take it away. That was my main thing. I didn't. He always looks creepy, but like, I think I feel my general opinion is that Star Wars characters kind of look better animated a lot of the time. Yeah, but not all the time. Not with him. No, I thought it was pretty cool because it wasn't like a big thing, and it's not like he's a big character where it changes the story at all. Like no one really cares about Bib Fortuna. So for me, I was just kind of like, oh, that's cool, just like a cool little cameo that doesn't change anything, because I know that's like an issue people have with the cameos sometimes. And like that people said like in episode 1 of this show, and people said a lot about some of the ones in The Mandalorian. Yeah, but I feel like this one was like cool and recognizable, but also like inconsequential. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't something like I mean the Bo-Katan appearance I really liked.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't like hate all the
the
Mandalorian
the
appearances.
Ahsoka one felt very unnecessary to me, but I do think about how they handled that appearance here versus how they've handled it in other places before, and I think they did it so expertly in this episode. And I hope that if they do continue to have cameos down the line, that they're that great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that like, you know, I mean, we said The Mandalorian, but I think shows like I think Rebels handled cameos really, really well. I know not
Same.
everyone agrees with that, but I think every cameo in Rebels was like just the perfect amount of like, here's another Star Wars character, you know, but like we're not gonna just like let them overtake it, and like it's not like a huge deal
Right.
all the
Yeah,
time.
I agree. Yeah.
Where like, and I think that's what this one was.
Yeah, and there were a few that, I mean, there were maybe like a handful or so each season, but they were handled in a way where they didn't, like you said, overtake the episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's a problem that I'm not to bring it back to the Mandalorian again, but I think like but I feel like some episodes with the Mandalorian, the Ahsoka one especially, made Din feel like he didn't matter in his own story. You know, like I feel like, well, there's like a long period of time in the Ahsoka episode where Ahsoka's doing all the stuff and Din is literally standing there.
Right. Like he
doing
wasn't
nothing.
included in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like while like the big fight that's happening is these two characters that we didn't see before in the show, right?
Yeah.
Where for this episode, and I think like Clone Wars also, or not Clone Wars, I mean Clone Wars, yes, but also Rebels, does is like even when those other characters, even when they're having big moments, it's not the other characters that we do know from the show aren't like standing around. Like I think
Exactly.
like Twilight of the Apprentice, you have that big Ahsoka Vader confrontation, and that's huge, but it's like Ezra and Kanan and Chopper aren't just like kind of standing there watching, you know, like they're doing important stuff too.
Yeah, they're incorporated. And I think that's the beauty of animation, where I could actually see animated Ahsoka with that animated character whose name I can't remember at the moment, and the animated Din fighting together and being included in that fight, because it feels like it would flow so much better in an animated medium.
Yeah.
Compared to live action, where even the battle between those two was very limited, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's part of it too, is like the transition between animation and live action versus live action to animation, because when you're transitioning from live action to animation, you're creating these characters that were limited and then making them limitless, and like you can do not totally limitless, but you can do a lot more.
Or I think they'd have a range.
Or I think with like an animated character, you're taking a character that had no limits really, and then imposing limits that weren't there before, and that makes it seem like not as great, I guess. Right. I don't know. Not that totally it can't be done. I think Bo-Katan transition was like perfect.
Oh yeah, that was great to me. Like I thought that was captured perfectly, and I applaud them with that one.
Or like Saw Gerrera too.
Oh yeah,
forget him.
Yeah, yeah. Saw was also good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this show is has the ability. I'm sure we'll see plenty of cameos yet. We definitely know Rex is going to be one of them. I'm sure we'll see some more. Maybe Sal will get his Quinlan Voss.
That would be so great. I just want him to have that.
I don't even care as much if Quinlan Voss shows up. I just want him to do it so he'll be happy.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
At this point, I just think that would be fun for him. But yeah. So yeah. So they have Bib Fortuna, and then Sid tells Hunter about, he's like, this is Fennec Shand. She's young, she's new, which makes sense because she's still not that old in The Mandalorian, so she has to be pretty young,
right?
And she's working on direct commission, but we don't know from who, because it's like she didn't go through the guild or whatever.
Do you have a theory regarding that? Like who hired her?
I I mean, my gut just says Kaminoans.
Same.
Like that just feels that feels right, you know, especially we had at the end of one of the episodes where they were like, oh, we need like a special clone to make more better clones, and then the Empire won't, you know, won't go forward with this like volunteer army thing.
Yeah, I was wondering if it is someone else. I feel like they would have inserted that in the last episode with Fennec at the end looking up at the the sky and calling the person who hired her. And it switched to the person, whether sort of like Bib Fortuna, where they were hidden and you didn't know who exactly that was, but maybe you might pick up on the voice. But I honestly, I feel like they're just tossing that in there for a little bit of intrigue, but I think it's really just down to the Kaminoans. If they do introduce other characters, it'll be interesting to see how they handle that, especially because there are new people watching this show. So I'm curious how they would handle it for new viewers who maybe like when they saw Solo, they'd be like, who was that at the very end with Maul? Like, didn't he die?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think to me, like at least right now with the information we have, Kaminoans are the only ones that make sense.
Yeah.
You know, because even at this point, like unless we're not seeing something, the Empire doesn't seem to care about these like 5 runaway clones. Like they're not really causing trouble. Obviously, if they ran into an Imperial base, the Imperials would probably be like, "Hey, we're gonna get you," but it doesn't seem like their priority at all right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I imagine their Crosshair's priority, but I don't think he would have the credits or the authority to do something like that.
Well,
and I imagine he'd want to do it himself.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't even seem like, at least, we haven't seen Crosshair in a little bit.
Exactly.
But it doesn't seem like he right now really cares. He's obviously very much with like the chip, very much in the mindset of following orders. So it doesn't even seem like, even if he did have even if they were like, all right, Crosshair, you can go, it doesn't seem like he'd do that at least right away,
Yeah, he doesn't really have the free will to do any of that at the moment. And I was also thinking, what if it's Palpatine, because we know that he's dealt with cloning and stealing children for experiments and such. So maybe Omega was on his like project list or something and got the heads up that she left. But I honestly don't really see any of these big characters coming into play. And I think it's just the Kaminoans who want to really make themselves vital for the Empire.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know. I mean, unless we learn something else, Kaminoan just seems the only one that's gonna make sense right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting if it is someone else. I don't know who it would be, but it would be a new twist, I guess.
Yeah.
It was a very good episode.
It was a good episode. I really enjoyed it.
I love Muchi. I
want to
know though, like if Muchi's not the Rancor in Return of the Jedi, then what is Muchi? Like, what are they doing with her then? What's Bib Fortuna up to with another Rancor?
Yeah, so I remember reading on Twitter.
What's the Rancor lifespan?
Yeah, I don't know. But I was reading that it could be that just like how dogs and cats and horses are bred, it could be that she is also being used for breeding specific kinds of Rancor, maybe. But I imagine she's also used for sport, just like maybe they substitute the Rancor that sadly died in Return of the Jedi with her, so they alternate and it's not just the one Rancor fighting over and over again.
What if Muchi's in the book of Boba Fett?
Oh snap! You just blew my mind. I didn't even think about that.
Like
show.
A grown-up Muchi.
A grown-up Muchi. Oh my gosh, it needs to happen. It needs to happen.
They might just have multiple Rancors on deck and just like swap.
Yeah, and alternate. Yeah, that's totally possible.
Or maybe Bib Fortuna is just like a contractor, right? And he just like gets Rancors to different people. We don't really know like what his legit job is. We don't. Yeah. Just kind of hangs around. Yeah. I can't find what the Rancor lifespan is. I guess no one else really cares about
Mm.
that. But the proper term for a venery of Rancors is a crash of Rancors. So
Oh, nice.
I learned something new.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think those were the major things that happened in this episode. I don't think there was anything else really.
Omega painted her little clone doll
Oh,
to be like
yes.
to like match the Bad Batch. And it's so cute.
Yeah, I really love the idea of her painting that and having it be like a representation of her in the group, like she's a Bad Batcher too. And I really love that she decorated it and customized it to her liking.
It's so cute. I hope like by the end of the series she just has like a whole like thing with like Bad Batch themed toys, because she has Lula and now she has a little clone trooper. So I just hope she collects like a whole like Bad Batch of toys, you know.
That would be amazing. Yeah, I can imagine her putting things in her little corner there.
Yeah, it's so cute. I think that's everything. I really love Muchi. I want Muchi in Book of Boba Fett now. Now that I
Make
said
it
that,
happen.
I can't stop thinking about it.
It needs to happen. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I'm super excited to see where they go next, and whether they're going to go and find who hired Fennec specifically, or if, you know, along the way they meet up with Rex. Regardless, I just every Friday comes around and I'm just always super excited for their adventure.
Yeah, it's great. I wonder, it's always fun to see like what they're gonna do and who they're gonna meet. And yeah, we'll see where they go next week.
What Hunter and Omega interactions I guess, or Omega and Bad Batch interactions, because they're so cute, and I just want to hug all of them together in a big group hug.
I think her and Wrecker are so cute. Like
they're so adorable, so cute. I really love the older brother / uncle vibe he has with her, and it's just so sweet.
Yeah. Let's see. I was looking. I don't think, because I know like there's a couple episodes where they like kind of hinted like, oh, we're gonna like go to like a certain type of place next, but
no,
I don't think there's one at the end here. So
yeah, I don't know why they've changed things up this year or with this show. They maybe it's just to keep that surprise factor in place, but yeah, this year they don't really give out any information regarding the next episode, like any title or description. Those first 3 that we happened to have were just flukes because they were leaked from a different country that happened to have them up already.
Oh no, I meant like at the end of like the end of the first episode, he said like, oh, we're gonna go to.
I see.
I wasn't talking about that. I don't go on Twitter.
See.
I never see any of that before.
I see. Okay, so yeah, from within the episode, yeah, they don't really hint at where they go next.
So yeah, it'll be a surprise. I'm excited.
It would be interesting though if the next episode opened up with them doing another mission for Sid. So it could be that they maybe keep a sort of relationship with her in that way, where she gives them a place, something to do.
I do think that with like especially like Fennec hunting them, they're probably going to be wary about staying.
Oh, that's true too. They might want to hop around. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So like
I'm curious. I'm curious.
Season 1 of The Mandalorian, where he like hops around all the planets. You know,
that makes sense.
Something like that.
Yeah, and I'm curious with that Rex episode that's upcoming and them being at a shipyard. Like, what is it that they're trying to get there? Like, do they need a piece for their ship? Did something happen to their ship? Do they need? And I mentioned this to someone. Do they need like a medical room to operate on Wrecker, or all of them? Because I'm sure all of them need to have their chips removed for that safety. But yeah, maybe that's what they're looking for, and that's the only place where they can use those kind of that facility and those kind of resources. So who knows?
Yeah, it's interesting too. Well, it could be too, like maybe somehow Rex is able to reach out to them and they only want to meet somewhere like a shipyard where there wouldn't be
very mysterious,
where there wouldn't be anybody, you know,
out of the way.
Yeah, and there's a lot that could happen, a lot in the air. So
And I do hope that they give us like a mid-season trailer, because we're 5 episodes in. This week is going to be the 6th episode, so maybe around 8 or 9 we might see hopefully
a mid-season trailer. But also they're not like going on a break mid-season. So like,
no,
when Rebels or Resistance would, that's when we would get the mid-season trailer.
But I hope they still give it to us, just to give us a glimpse as to what's to come in the second half of the season.
Yeah. See, I don't really like watching trailers too much. So.
No. I love it. I love theorizing and speculating, because I think, especially the animated shows, I think they do a good job of not giving away too much.
Yeah.
It might be different for the live action movies and their trailers, or even the Mandalorian's trailers, but not even the Mandalorian's trailers were also very vague in what they were showing, and you didn't know what direction it was going in. But yeah, whatever they give us, I'm sure it's going to be very, spoiler free.
Yeah. I know some people watch them over and over again. I like to watch it once and then be like, okay, I don't want to like read into it too much and accidentally like think myself into spoiling it or anything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, this show is very good. Very happy with it.
Yeah.
Makes me want more animated shows featuring certain rebels. Just saying, but
yeah, just saying. It should be an animated. It should be an animated version.
That's all I'm asking for. Maybe making one certain live action show, maybe switching it over to animation. Just that be fun, Who knows?
FYI.
Who knows?
Hint, hint.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have much else to say.
No, yeah, I'm done with the thoughts I had regarding that one.
Okay, so we'll do the plugs, that stuff then. So for Star Wars Geek Girl, you can go to the Facebook page, which is just Star Wars Geek Girl, on Twitter and Instagram at SW Geek Girl, and then StarWarsGeekGirl.com. I post a quiz on Wednesdays and an article thing on Fridays, and sometimes book reviews, but I'm not having as much time to read lately, so not many of those for now. But the quiz I posted today was, which Star Wars mom are you? So if you want to find out which mom you are, you should take it. And there's no Rogue Rebels on, so I'll read the Rogue Rebels ones then too, I guess. So you can find the Rogue Rebels podcast wherever you listen to your podcast, wherever we listen to this podcast, you can probably find the Rogue Rebels. So like Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, all those things. Their Facebook page is the Rogue Rebels, Instagram at the Rogue Rebels, Twitter at Rogue Rebels Fam, Twitch at Rogue Rebels. On what's tomorrow, Thursday, June 3rd, Axel's gonna stream Minecraft tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So you can watch that. I will be watching it. And then they're on TikTok at the Rogue Rebels. And also the roguerebels.com.
And listeners can find me on Twitter with the handle at BlueJayGuys, and my podcast at Geeky Bubble Pod. And that podcast they can find on major podcasting platforms like iTunes, Google Podcasts, and so on. And you can also find my writings on dorksideoftheforce.com.
All right. Thank you. So go check all those things out. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Jonah, for being on.
Happy to be
about
here.
This episode. Thank you very much to everyone for listening. May the force be with you. I was Zoe.
And I was Jonah.
Thank you again for listening. May the force be with you, and goodbye.
Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.